Hello guys, and welcome back to a new video. Today we will look back on Balkanized Canada. Specifically, we will look at Eastern Canada. If you haven't watched our first video, I recommend you go watch that first before watching this one. It will help give you some context. I'll put the link in the description. In this video, I mentioned I would talk about the phonetics of the languages, which is what I will do this video as well. Starting in Quebec, where we would see multiple dialects of French that would uniquely interact with both the Inuit and English cultures that came into the area. In Quebec, you would see five major languages, these being Inuit French, European French, Labrador French, Nova Scotian French, English, and Quebec French. Besides the main dialects, there would also be regional mixtures of two dialects, such as the Inuit Quebec French mixture, the European and Quebec French mixture, the Labrador and Quebec French mixture, and the English Quebec French mixture. These would result from communities migrating to each other's areas, creating unique dialect thanks to the youth developing slang based on both dialects of each French language in this alternate world. Outside of Quebec, there isn't much to talk about, as most of the republics just speak one language, which is probably some variant of French. However, there is an area that is really interesting to talk about, as they don't speak French, they would speak English in this alternate world. That being the Atlantic colonies that would speak of a few kinds of dialects of English. Example sentence of how each area would say something as basic as "Hello, how are you?" In this alternate world, somebody from New Brunswick would say "Hello, how are you?" Somebody from Nova Scotia would say "Hello, how are you?" And somebody from Newfoundland would say "El jour, comment allez-vous?" Starting with New Brunswick, they would probably sound similar to a New English person thanks to their proximity and would probably have a lot of migration towards the area. As for Nova Scotia, their accent would come from migration from Scottish and English people, with Scottish influence being very prevalent and English influence being a little bit more minor, but still there. The black sheep of the group is Newfoundland, would develop its accent through Anglo-French migration, with French actually technically being its actual language, but thanks to English population there, they would develop slang or just borrow words from English making it a half-breed between English and French. Moving away from the Labrador Peninsula, there is also the Republic of Rupert's Land that would have many, just as many, if not more, languages, but mainly dialects. The West is both of actual Cree and a more anglicized version of it. We'll talk about the Cree languages in a future video. As for the anglicized Cree, let's talk about that. This would be an example of what Anglo-Cree would sound like. In English, you could say, "Hello, how are you?" But in this common language, you would say, "Kill tanso," which would mean the same thing. Moving to the east of Rupert's Land, we would see two French dialects, one being a more Anglo-style French, while the other being in pure Quebec French. There's not going to be much to talk about here besides minor changes to the Anglo-French dialect. The Quebec French dialect would simply just remain the same, so let's move on. In the far south, we would see a more American Midwestern accent. There isn't much to talk about here, so let's move on. To wrap up this video, we have Northern and Southern Rupert's English. Northern Rupert's English has much fewer influences, as such making its own distinct dialect. Northern Rupert's Land would have about 6 different influences, those being Irish, British, Cree, French, finally Inuit, and Dutch. This is what Northern Rupert's would look and sound like, with 2 ways to say "Hello, how are you?" The first option would be "Hello, how are tu?" And the second option would be "Hello, wie gut tu?" The second option would translate something more to "How good you?" Southern Rupert's would also have around 5 different influences, notably leaving around Irish and Inuit influence. These influences would be French, British, Cree, Dutch, and American. This would be an example of what Southern Ruperts would sound like. Yeah, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe. And make sure to watch my last video. Alright, bye-bye.